Good morning, students. Here comes the last segment of the chapter, The 100 Races. So far, we have read that Wenda Petronsky, who was a Polish girl, came to US and faced discrimination by her classmates. As a result, she and her family left that place. All the girls in the school made fun of her, and they had invented certain games on her. And out of frustration, they left the town. Meanwhile, she won a competition of drawing designs of dresses, and this incident changed the scenario. And the same day, the letter of Wenda's father came to the school, which was read by the class teacher, and everybody came to know the actual feeling of the girl. But the arrow had left the bow, so they couldn't do anything. Nobody could do anything. Maddie and Peggy went in search of Wenda, but they had left the town. So Maddie, who was a sensitive girl, she felt herself guilty that she could not raise her voice against the ragging done to Wenda by her classmates. And she wanted Peggy also to feel the same kind of thing. Let's move forward. On Saturday, Mary spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wenda Petronsky. They went to her house day before, but they couldn't find her. So they decided to write a letter to Wenda Petronsky, and they started writing. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wenda she had won. They told her how pretty her drawings were. So it's a simple letter. It was not an apology. It was a simple letter appreciating her art and telling that she had won the competition and telling her that she was a wonderful artist. And they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. And these girls, Mary and Peggy, they asked Wenda about her new school and teacher and whether she has adjusted at that new place. They had meant to say they were sorry, but it ended up with their just writing a friendly letter, the kind they would have written to any good friend, and they signed it with lots of X's for love. So both these girls were guilty. Actually, they wanted to write an apology letter, but they didn't write apology. They wrote a simple letter. It was a very friendly letter, as a friend writes to her good friend, another good friend. So it was kind of that letter. And at last they signed the letter with lot of X's for love. They mailed the letter to the Boggins Heights, writing, "Please forward" on the envelope. Actually, children are children. They are innocent. Peggy and Mary didn't know where they are going to post the letter, whether it was going to reach Wenda or not. But this thought came to their mind and they did it. They completed the letter and mailed it, writing the address of Boggins Heights on it. And on the top, they wrote, "Please forward." Why they wrote? Because they had this idea in mind, means they were sure that the postman or somebody in the world must be knowing where Wenda had shifted. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back. So maybe Wenda had received it. So it is also a rule that when you post a letter, if it is not received by the receiver, it comes back to the sender. So in this case, days were passing by. There was no reply of Wenda, and the letter written by Peggy and Maddie also did not come back. So they were imagining that Wenda might have received the letter. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry she was not going to answer. You could not blame her. See, they had guilt in their heart, and they thought that maybe Wenda was angry with them. That is why she is not answering their letter. Weeks went by and still Wenda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Wenda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with how many dresses have you got. So no answer came from Venda. Peggy, who was a easygoing girl, she started forgetting the incident. But Maddie, who was a very sensitive girl, every day Venda came to her mind and she apologized to her. She used to talk to her. She used to be alone in the room, but she imagined as if Vanda was there and she was talking to her, and she used to defend her from the other girls. She imagined the same picture which used to happen in the school, that Vanda was surrounded by the girls and they were teasing her, and she started defending her from other girls. And before Vanda could press her lips together in the tight line, the way she did before answering, Maddie would cry out, "Stop!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. See, this was her action taken against the ragging. Maddie, in her imagination, started feeling that if somebody plays the same game as they used to play with Vanda, she will not let it happen again, and she would cry, "Stop!" And she visualized the things with Vanda only, and this way she started preparing herself for raising voice against this kind of teasing. Now it was Christmas time, and there was snow on the ground, Christmas bells and small tree decorated the classroom. So in these Christian countries, they have a long break during Christmas, winter break. So Christmas was quite near, and everything was decorated in that way. On the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. And this was the last day of the school. Everybody was excited about the holidays, and that day the teacher, Miss Mason, brought a letter to the class, and she announced that she is going to read that letter in the class. You remember Vanda Petronsky, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest? She addressed the class in this way. Hey class, do you remember Vanda Petronsky? She was your classmate. She was a wonderful artist, and this way she addressed the class. Well, she had written me, and I am glad to know where she lives, because now I can send her medal. I want to read her letter to you. She had read her previous letter, her father's letter, in the class. Now she is going to read the letter written by Vanda in the class, and she feels glad, the teacher feels glad that now she knows where Vanda lives, so that now she can send her medal back to her. The class sat up with a sudden interest and listened intently. See, their curiosity. It was same earlier also, now they are curious to listen to this letter also. Dear Miss Mason, how are you and room number 13? Room 13. Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses, because in my new house I have 100 new ones, all lined up in my closet. So Vanda addressed that letter to the teacher, Miss Mason, and she asked about the students who used to study with her in room 13. And because when she left this place, she left her designs here only in the school. She donated those designs to the girls of her class, and she also mentioned that she had made another 100 dresses, new one, for herself at the new place where she was living, and they were all lined up in her closet. See this last line, because in my new house I have 100 new ones, all lined up in my closet. This line shows that how hurt she felt when she was teased by the girls in the school. So this insult was deep rooted in her. I would like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming, and her friend Mary to have the blue one. So she mentioned two particular dresses for Peggy and Mary, which she had described in very detail to Maddie and Peggy. For Christmas, I miss that school, and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. And she's missing her previous school, and she wishes them Merry Christmas. And she also mentions that the teacher she has got in the new school was not as good as Miss Mason was. Yours truly, Venda Petronsky. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. So, as directed by Venda, the teacher gave designs of dresses to the girls Venda had mentioned, and Peggy got the green one and Maddie got the blue one, and they were holding those paper in their hand and going home. And while going back, they saw that the town has been decorated for the Christmas. There were wreaths. Wreaths are you can say hangings made of paper or plastic. These kind of designs were hung on the windows and walls. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were staked, and in the window, candy peppermint sticks and cornucopia of shiny transparent paper were strung. So the whole town was ready for Christmas. Lot of new things were there, gifts were there, trees were there, candies, peppermint sticks, and decorative containers were there. So everything was there ready for Christmas. The air smelled like Christmas, and light shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. It was snow time also there, and decoration was also there. So the town, the people, the area was ready for the celebration of Christmas. Boy, said Peggy, this shows she really likes us. It shows she got our letter, and this is her way of saying that everything is all right, and that is that. Peggy, who is an easygoing girl, she says that she has gifted, Venda has gifted her best designs to Peggy and Mary. It means she liked them, and actually she was trying to pacify what she had done with her. She also had that guilt in her heart, but she's not showing it, and she says that everything is fine with Venda and she liked us. I hope so, said Maddie sadly. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped Polish girl again and could not ever really make things right between them. But Maddie is a little bit different kind of girl. She was more sensitive, more emotional girl. She wished to meet Venda at least once and apologize for whatever was done to her in the school, but she knew that she was not going to meet Venda again in her life, and she wanted to make the things right between them. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flowered wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive from the brilliancy of the colors. So as soon as she reaches her house, she pins that drawing presented by Venda on the shabby wall of her house, and the room came alive with the bright color of that dress. Maddie sat down on her bed and looked at the drawing. She had stood by and said nothing, but Venda had been nice to her anyway. So Maddie looked at the dress for a long, and she also recalled how they were teasing her in the school. But she was thankful that she had never said anything wrong to her, and that Venda was a good girl and she had been nice to her. Tears blurred her eyes, and she gazed for a long time at the picture. Then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied it intently. She became so emotional that her eyes were filled with tears. She looked at the picture for a long time, and then she rubbed her eyes, and she noticed something in the picture, and she looked at the picture more carefully, more keenly. The colors in the dresses were so vivid that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing, but it looked like her, Maddie. See, their focus was the dress. the drawing of the dress, and the colors used by Vanda there were so bright that she never noticed that that picture had a face also, and that face was the face of Maddie, and she noticed this thing for the first time. It really looked like her own mouth. Why? It really looked like her own self. Vanda had really drawn this for her. Excitedly, she ran over to Peggy's. Peg, she said, let me see your picture. So she looked it closely, and then she found that she was painted by Vanda in that particular dress, and she was very excited. Then she thought whether Peggy's drawing also had the same kind of face or head, and she ran to Peggy's room and shouted, let me see your picture. She wanted to see her picture. What is the matter? Asked Peggy as they clattered up to her room where Vanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it. So she brought Peggy's drawing to her room. Peggy also came with her, and she wanted to know what had happened to her. Clattered means ran up. They both came into Maddie's room, and Vanda's painting was lying on the bed upside down. Maddie carefully raised it and noticed something important into it. Look, she drew you. That is you, she exclaimed, and the head and face of this picture did look like Peggy. And she made her this thing clear that we are watching the dress only, we are seeing the dress only, we have not noticed the head on the dress made by Vanda, and on Peggy's drawing it was head and mouth of Peggy which was drawn by Vanda. What did I say? Said Peggy. She must have really liked us anyway. And Peggy had the same sentence every time, that she had never give harm to Vanda in any way, and Vanda actually liked them. So hence it is proved that according to Peggy, it is proved that Vanda did not leave the school because of them. Yes, she must have, agreed Maddie, and she blinked away the tears that came every time she thought of Vanda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, looking stolidly over at the group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, sure, 100 of them all lined up. But as I have earlier told you, that Maddie was a different girl. She had empathy for Vanda. She again recalled the same scene which she had been recalling for a long time back, and that same picture she visualized, that Vanda was standing in the ground, all the girls were making fun of her, and again she had tears in her eyes, and she could not she was not actually able to forget the insult, the humiliation created to Vanda by all the girls. And she remembered the last sentence spoken by Vanda, sure, 100 of them all lined up. So here our chapter ends today. Children, now all the oral comprehensions you need to submit to a teacher after completing your work, and read the chapter at least twice so that you can understand it in a better way. And if you still have some doubt, feel free to ask your teacher. We are always there for you. Thank you. Have a nice day.